So there are many ways to try and explore what it means to build peace within a divided society. First, one needs to understand what a divided society is and how it became divided. There may be a good amount of historical context one needs to delve through when trying to solve these divisions, especially in countries such as those that are wrought with ethnic tension or social and economic inequality. One way that a person could try and build peace within a society that is divided is to first make sure that they are using effective and proven peace building methods. One of these methods may include bringing in outside interveners, as we saw argued in Peaceland by Althusser. However, there are issues with this method. The citizens who would be the beneficiaries of the peace would not have a prominent voice in how the peace is meant to be implemented within their community, which could lead to even more division within the society, but not between members of the community, but members of the community and the outside interveners. This division is caused by the fact that the outside interveners usually come from usually come from Western countries, come in with the mindset that they are there to help these countries because they cannot help themselves. This is evidenced by some practices, habits, and narratives that these outside peace builders employed, which included valuing their expertise over local knowledge, not fully socializing with the natives, rather choosing to associate with their fellow expatriates, and that the local elite lack the knowledge and capacity to help themselves. This is from Althusser, page 30. However, Althusser also defends also defends his argument by stating that the reason for this inferiority complex is because these outside interveners have so many priorities or other activities going on during their peace building operations, they're not fully that they're not able to fully ingratiate themselves amongst the locals and the culture that they have to offer. This is from Althusser also, page 33. Until those who run these peace building operations realize that they need the locals and their knowledge to build sustainable peace and development, then there will continue to be division within the society. Another method that many have used to try and build peace within societies is that instead of allowing outsiders to try and come in and build peace within a community that they do not know much about, they are trying to effect change from within the community slash society itself. In doing this, they are allowing the community to dictate how they want their community to look instead of allowing an outsider to dictate how their community will be run. Hyder counters Althusser's argument by contending that local communities are better prepared to build peace within their community than those who are outsiders to the community. Hyder states that change comes from within and it empowers those within the community by giving them a form of ownership within their community. This is from the Hyder article, page 4. There are different ways as to how those within the community affect change, but their actions are felt from all aspects and sectors of society. These sectors include the security sector, the mass media sector, and socioeconomic sectors of the community, and allow those members who affected the change to leave their imprint on the society. This is from Hyder, page 5. Change from within a community can boost morale and even help improve conditions within the community. It has been shown that community-based programs have contributed to the recovery of much-needed local services and physical infrastructure that have been destroyed in conflicts or a situation that could be considered fragile. It's from Hyder, page 7. This just goes to show how important it is for peace building and development operations to be spearheaded by those who will reap the rewards of the peace instead of by outsiders who do not fully understand the context of the situation that they are getting themselves into. Another method that has been posited by Jancy and Jancy is to build peace and develop communities prone to conflict by instilling modern mindsets and ideas into the community. Janty and Jancy specifically argued that sectors of the community, such as the education sector, need to develop this modern mindset to save themselves from the idiocy of village life. It's from Janty and Jancy, page 68. This statement applies some of the concerns that were discussed earlier, which is that these communities and their mindsets are inferior to the Western ideals. The authors propose that the reason that these communities are in conflict is that they have not adopted the social and cultural norms of modern society. They also assert that the population must attempt to evolve socially in order to develop the appropriate values needed for a modern society. This is from Jancy and Jancy, page 69. The hope is that these countries develop themselves with outside help into a more modern society, then they will be able to reduce conflict within their community and become a more developed community. However, they argue that this is the only way for these countries and communities to get out of their current situation is through Western mindset. So transition. In gaining freedoms, focuses on the use of space and how they are used as a means to affect change within communities. Term discusses the politics that we see in Turkey and how there are different territories and spaces that have been designated to different factions of the country. These were hard borders and significant to those who frequented these spaces. This is evidenced by the feeling that some of the secular Istanbulites and non-Muslims had towards the demolition or evacuation of some of their landmarks, which included Inci Pastanisi, a pastry shop adored by locals, the destruction of the Emek movie theater, and multiple malls in Istanbul. Residents felt as though with the demolition of these landmarks that the AKP was taking the city that they know and love away from them. From term page 34, landmarks and spaces have great significance to people. In some cases, these landmarks can serve as a form of identity to some of these people who have historical ties to these landmarks and spaces. While there are those who feel as though some of the actions by the AKP have made them lose some of their authority, they have combated this by finding safe zones where they can exist free from the authoritarian rule. One of the most prevalent safe zones in Turkey was the University of Freedom, UF, which earned its reputation for the liberal democratic culture that's promoted there, contrary to the rest of the country's universities. This is from term page 78. University is one of the major safe havens for freedom and political dissent. Universities all over the world have been the sites for the beginning of many social movements that are meant to affect change, help develop, and build peace. This is because students are trained as citizens to be, especially at UF, term 79. Students are taught skills there and at all universities that they can use to take their knowledge and apply it to the real world. UF was one of the major safe zones of gaining freedoms because it served as a safe haven for free thought by individuals who wanted to lead the way in affecting change within their community in in Turkey. Although change was meant to be effected within Turkey, they wanted to help. When change was meant to be effected within Turkey, they wanted to help integrate the different factions within the country through these changes. There were still forms of division that divided the different factions of Turkish society. These divisions are referred to as invisible fences, from term page 29. These invisible fences were what segregated Turkey when their goal was to try and integrate the different factions within the country to make the country a more cohesive place. These invisible fences can disrupt the natural order of things, and they played a big role in making Turkey the country that it is today. So, transition. When Blood and Bones Cry Out focused on the effects of social healing amongst those who have been subjected to violence or have had traumatic experiences that have helped shape them into who they are today. The letter acts explore different methods of healing, such as musical and circular metaphors instead of the normal methods of healing and reconciliation. Social healing is often used to help reintegrate those who have committed violence, experienced violence, or experienced trauma. They argue that when working with people who have experienced generational trauma, the only ethical approach is to allow deep personal inner work within the context of social healing and the development of skills to continue to work with others. Letter Act, page 11. These new methods are essential for trying to build peace within a society and can yield different results depending on who is involved in the process. Another way that the letter acts argue that social healing can help build peace within a society is through resilience. This is evidenced by a quote from a former child soldier who had committed some unspeakable acts and how this has affected him. You have this weapon. I don't mean a weapon like just a gun, but your mind. Your mind is the weapon. All you have in your mind is violence. You have been living in violence for so long, and at any moment with any person, you can take this weapon out. It doesn't matter where you are. It's embedded in you. This is from Letter Act, page 40. He is working hard to change this about himself. He talks about how he knows he can transform and how maybe people will begin to accept him. He's worked hard to change this about himself and to make sure that others do not end up in his position. He's helping child soldiers or new child soldiers. This takes resilience to be able to change from who he was into a person who he was, which was a child soldier who committed violent acts, killed a bunch of people in his village in Liberia, I believe, and he's transformed himself into a person who's making a difference in the world today by helping those who are on the track to become child soldiers. So my conceptualizations about building peace have somewhat changed. I realize that there are so many factors that go into that go into being able to build peace around the world, there has to be a concerted effort to make sure that in areas where peace seems like a far-fetched concept, that it must start from within, and even where it doesn't seem like a far-fetched concept, you fix the factors that do lead to conflict. So in places where peace seems like a far-fetched concept, it must start from within and start from the top down. So those who are in power or with a lot of social capital must spearhead these operations. Social capital is an interconnected network that we form through relationships. This is from Kirkpatrick 419. A community has a lot of social capital between the members of the community is a cohesive community. However, this social capital may not be evenly distributed amongst the community, which is why there can be inequality amongst the community by those who choose to exploit their high social capital, which leads to conflict because people may feel as though they're being oppressed by those in power. And due to this oppression, there may even be some members of the community who feel as though they are nothing. This is from Dunn 299. Being nothing is when members of the community have reached absolute zero, a point of uncertainty of life due to not having the same opportunities as others. This uncertainty and disorganization within a community can reduce social cohesion within a community, and a community that does not have social cohesion will not be able to affect change or build peace or sustainably develop. I believe that the only way to truly be able to build peace anywhere is to first solve the problems of inequality, whether that be social or economic or any other form of inequality, because when there is inequality, there is conflict. Thank you so much, and that is the end of my video essay.